she's just a weird one. Like the way just we're just so much more sporadic than in the North or the South. And
I usually put loads of makeup on before the show because I'm a pizza face.
Katy Perry wasn't just a pop star. She was the pop star. She kissed a girl and she made it a cultural reset. She made Candyland Couture a lifestyle. She literally launched fireworks out of her chest like a Vegas 4th of July showgirl with no chill. The girl was a walking, singing, glitter bombing, fever dream straight out of a Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper. And we were all living for it. But flash forward to 2025, and Katy's career is getting ghosted harder than a failing situationship. She went from walking red carpets to now casually kissing dirt. And you know, that space trip could have been iconic, but instead, it's now permanently fused to Katy's downfall arc. Sources now say that she's regretting the whole zero gravity moment because when she landed, she didn't just return to Earth. She crash landed into the full wrath of the internet.
Well, it was very profound. I don't know if you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, but she's basically a guru now.
Yeah.
And it got so bad that PR experts, you know, the people who clean up celebrity disasters with words like reframing and pivot, they're saying that she's not just in a crisis. She's in career extinction mode. And one insider put it like this, and I quote, "Katy Perry's reputation is vibe surfing the toilet drain faster than Blue Origin re-entered the atmosphere." And the kicker, this isn't just a one-time flub. The space scandal was just dessert. But before we get into that, you have to be served everything. The appetizer, the entree, and every awkward side dish in between. So we're diving into the full Katy Perry saga from pop royalty to pop punchline. So let's just get started. Before Katy Perry was headlining the Super Bowl in her whipped cream cannonball, she was just little Catherine Elizabeth Hudson. Raised in South California by two born-again Christian ministers, her house was so religious, it made Handmaid's Tale look like a Coachella party. There was no secular music allowed. That means no Britney, no Backstreet Boys, nothing except the Jesus jams. That's it. But Katy had some pipes.
When I was young, I started singing in church when I was 9. And I mean, I would sing anything I possibly could sing. I loved Oh Happy Day. I loved His Eyes on the Sparrow. And I felt like that foundation and that background for me was really great.
People in the world will never truly be so free. Yeah, only reason not to live is Christ come down and died for you and me.
And I was just like desperate to do anything I could for anyone to hear my voice, and really enjoyed what I was doing at the time and singing gospel music.
Her parents were strict, but they were supportive, and they got her vocal lessons at the age of 9.
They were there every step along the way, since I was 9 with the singing lessons and 13 with the guitar lessons, and, taking me back and forth to Nashville, or, driving me to Los Angeles when I couldn't drive myself from home, to record in the studio.
By 13, she got her first guitar and she started writing songs.
This is my God, and please do what you can, receive salvation, and it's all about, furthering the kingdom. That's cheeseball sounding, but I guess I am.
And her next stop was Nashville, because obviously, if you're a teen girl raised on gospel who wants to make it big, you move to country music town. And she signed with a Christian label and dropped a self-titled album under her real name, Katy Hudson. And it sold a whopping 200 copies. No, that's not an error. I'm being serious. 200 copies. And then the label went bankrupt, which is insane. That's a sad story to tell on her part. So what did Katy do? She ditched the holy hits. She moved to Los Angeles and started chasing pop stardom. Her early LA years were an utter mess. She got signed and dropped not by one, but two different record labels. It was Def Jam and Columbia Records. And around this time, it was 2006, she started dating Travie McCoy from Gym Class Heroes, which, yes, was a big deal if you were into skinny jeans and MySpace bangers back in the day. She even cameoed in the video for Cupid's Chokehold. And yep, that's her at the end playing Final Girlfriend. Some folks credit Travie for giving her the music industry in, but she was already hustling. And then in 2007, she dropped an EP with Capitol Records called You're So Gay. Was it catchy? Yes. Was it problematic? Hell yes. And shocker, that song is going to bite her in the arse later on in her career, but more on that in a second. And then, boom, 2008 hits, and Katy dropped her studio album. It was called One of the Boys, and with it, the song I Kissed a Girl, which was a scandalous banger that had middle-class America clutching their pearls and the rest of America screaming it in the club. This church girl had officially gone rogue. Goodbye Hems and hello homoerotic hits. Now, here's the million-dollar question. Can a song be both iconic and deeply problematic? Spoiler alert, yes. Yes, it can. Let's set the scene. It's 2008. Low-rise jeans are committing crimes against humanity, and Katy Perry drops I Kissed a Girl, and the world lost its mind.
Talk to us a bit about that song and the whole thing about the lyrics and the sort of furore that's around that.
Because
did you
some
expect
people
that?
don't even think it was an appropriate title for a song, content for a pop song.
Well, that's really funny to me because if anybody's listened to pop music for the past ever, you remember when Elvis Presley came out and he was the devil and ultimately he became the king, and Madonna came out and she was a scandal and ultimately she became the queen. And I think pop music has kind of showed, different sides of life and maybe said things that some people are like, oh yeah, I've thought about that. I've just never heard it actually put into words.
Did you have it?
The song launched Katy into full-blown pop stardom, but critics quickly clocked the lyrics. You're my experimental game. Girly, bisexuals are not a science fair project. And then, I hope my boyfriend doesn't mind it. Oh, great. Centering around the male gaze. How original. Okay, sure, some people saw the song as fun and flirty and a step towards queer visibility, and others, not so much. Some saw it as reducing bisexuality to a party trick, like it's just something you try between tequila shots.
People love it. They're like, dying for it, and then people are like, oh, what's going on? It's kind of the story as goes as follows. They opened up a magazine, and I was looking through the magazine, seeing all those gorgeous girls like Scarlett Johansson, Natalie Portman, and even Angelina Jolie. It's just one of those things you have, with your boyfriend or your husband. You look over to them and you're like, I'm not going to lie, if they walked into the room and they wanted to kiss me, I probably would.
And here's the thing. Even Katy herself said that if she were to do the song today, she would rewrite it. And while that's growth, we all stand a reflective queen. But it does make you wonder, did the song genuinely aim to support the LGBTQ plus community, or was it just riding on the rainbow wave for clicks and clout?
I have a lot of respect for Madonna and hope to be kind of that can I say a household name?
Elvis Presley came out and he was the devil and ultimately he became the king, and Madonna came out and she was a scandal and ultimately she became the queen.
Because let's not forget the timing. The song dropped right as visibility with gay rights was gaining serious traction. And some folks felt like Katy was hopping on a trend, not waving a pride flag with purpose, which leads me to this little thought. Would Katy Perry be Katy Perry without this scandalous pop grenade early in her career? I mean, you know it as well as I do. Controversy sells, especially when it's wrapped in a catchy hook with a music video full of fishnet tights. So what do we think here? Was I Kissed a Girl a bold cultural reset? Or do we think it was just a marketing ploy? Because, like it or not, this song didn't just kiss a girl, it kissed a nerve. But the controversy quickly faded away as her star power burned bright. And 2 years later, Teenage Dream was released in 2010. And this wasn't just an album, it was a pop cultural juggernaut and add in sprinkles. Literally, she wore the cupcake bra. It's infamous, it's synonymous now. And it worked. This album had 5 #1 singles. That is like Michael Jackson level territory. California Girls, Firework, E.T., Last Friday Night, and Teenage Dream. It was campy and it was weirdly sincere. Katy Perry at this point was everywhere. Award shows, commercials, sold out tours. And then her marriage to British snark puppet Russell Brand gave the tabloids enough content to choke on. She was the girl next door with a whipped cream cannon and the American dream with a blue wig. She, at the time, was a pop queen who could do no wrong. Or so we thought. I'm not going to lie. I think Russell Brand has some responsibility in Katy Perry's decline. And I'm being serious as hell. Okay. When Katy was riding high, okay, she was at her highest point in her career. And then comes the fall. Katy Perry, she had her chance encounter with Russell Brand, who she didn't know at the time would soon become her very short-lived husband. So how did these two even meet? Picture it. The year is 2009. Katy just performed at the VMAs and Russell is hosting.
So Rusty Rockets. I'm hosting the MTV VMA 2009. Welcome to Radio City. That gives me a golden opportunity to look at that. Beyonce, is going to be there. Hey, look at that, Katy Perry.
Sparks fly. I'm talking full on fireworks with a slight whiff of poor decision making. They exchange flirty banter and bam, instant chemistry. By the end of the year, they're engaged because obviously nothing screams we should legally bind ourselves like knowing each other for 12 minutes.
Never a dull moment, I'll say that. It's kind of like an ongoing episode of I Love Lucy. But that's why I married him, because he's just so hilarious.
Have you married him
I
already?
mean, that's why I'm marrying him.
So they get married in a lavish ceremony in India because if you're going to make a possibly questionable life choice, you might as well do it with elephants and a spiritual guru. But then, plot twist. It turns out opposites don't always attract. Shocking, I know. Katy is on a global pop domination tour, literally shooting whipped cream from her chest on stage. Russell is deep in a spiritual awakening phase, quoting philosophers, drinking herbal tea, and growing facial hair that looks like it should have its own zip code. Did they fight? Allegedly, yes, but it wasn't over like the toothpaste kind of fights. Think career clashes, lifestyle differences, and possibly one person wanting to meditate while the other person's filming a candy-coated fever dream music video. And they were married for just over a year before Russell famously broke Katy's heart via text. Yep, you heard that right. A text message. Divorce by iMessage. Can we just pause and scream into the pillow for a second? Imagine being in a high-profile marriage only to have your husband ghost you like a Tinder date gone wrong. Russell, shame on you. Shame. That is not very zen of you. And also, with all those recent allegations out there about you, it's kind of fitting. So Katy later said that she didn't hear from him again. Not even a, hey, are you okay text. Nothing. And in her documentary, Part of Me, you can literally watch her cry backstage moments before she's going to sing on stage. So you don't have to tell me that this man put this woman through hell. And because of it, like her experiences, she evolved. And I feel like maybe she did a little about face because sometimes when you marry chaos, you grow out of it at times, but sometimes you need a deep spiritual reset. Kind of like it reminds me of Katy Perry merging with Eat, Pray, Love, Julia Roberts style. That's the kind of reset Katy Perry had. At this point, it was 2 years after her divorce train wreck that in 2013, she tried to go deep. And I'm sure she had a lot of feelings that she was trying to process after and during the breakup, because then enter the album Prism. Gone were the candy-colored aesthetics and the bubblegum beats, and in came a spiritual symbolism, the empowerment anthems, and Roar.
You were coming out of the divorce before you started writing this. I remember when you were here last, you were talking about that you were going away to write this, and it is deeply personal.
I think that this record is a lot more vulnerable. It shows another side of me, another layer of me and my mind and all the different things I've been through, and the route of positivity that I decided to take instead of making kind of a dark, negative record, which is the kind of record I thought I was going to make when I first sat down to write this record.
It's like if your favorite party friend suddenly got into yoga and crystals. And Prism did well commercially, thanks to Katy still riding that teenage dream high, but there was a vibe shift. The songs were still poppy, but they lacked the innocent mischief of her earlier work. Now enter her first professional career flop, at least as a mega superstar, and enter the era of Try Hard Perry. Because in 2017, it was not pretty. Enter Witness, the album that was supposed to be her grand return. She's grown up, she's woke, she's Miss I Read Twitter now. It was a complete reinvention, except it was a reinvention that no one really wanted. Her fans had signed up for glittery escapism, not deep thoughts on political turmoil that was sandwiched between beats. And let's be honest, Katy trying to go full purposeful pop is like watching a clown cry. It's wrong and it's unsettling. So let's just break down this tragic makeover. Let's just start with the sound. Witness was Katy's attempt at musical enlightenment.
Witness. I love what I've heard so far on the record. I've heard Bon Appetit. I heard Change of the Rhythm.
Except instead of a spiritual awakening, we got the song Swiss Swiss, which was a diss track that sounded like it was written during a SoulCycle class. She called it purposeful pop, and we call it pop confusion with a side of identity crisis. Think about it. You're supposed to have purposeful pop, and the song is rumored to have been a response clapback to Taylor Swift's Bad Blood. Then, how is that spiritual enlightenment again? And then we got to go for the look, okay? It was new hair, new vibes, new everything. She chopped off the wig. But gone was the candy-colored queen. In her place stood a bleach blonde rebirth that screamed, I want to be taken seriously. It just seemed like a completely different person, a different artist. And then the vibe, this was like peak political Katy. She was Hillary Clinton's wingwoman during the 2016 election. And is it admirable for her to do personally? Sure, absolutely. But career-wise, I don't care what side you're on, it's never a good idea for a celebrity to go politics. Just don't do it.
But I do have an open mind, and I have a voice. I love Hillary too. I have a couple of saved messages on my phone from HRC.
We need champions like Katy now more than ever.
And then her SNL appearance, it was like a meme factory.
Come on, let's go SNL. Do they know?
And Witness Worldwide, it was a bizarre live stream of Katy's life for 96 hours straight.
Here it is, and I'm going to be here at Witness Worldwide headquarters till Monday.
It was equal parts Big Brother and spiritual breakdown. Viewers weren't even sure if they were watching performance art or a cry for help. The album itself, it opened with promise and then nosedived into filler town faster than you can say, hey. Even the songs with potential got buried in the end. Let's break down this arc and what really happened. Did she try to grow? Yes. Is growth good? Absolutely. It's necessary even, but here's the thing. When your whole brand is bubbly, then guess what? Serious fun doesn't exist. You swerved hard into the pseudo-intellectual art pop, and then people are going to get whiplash. She tried to be deep without digging all the way down. She tried to serve meaning with a side of memes, and it just didn't land. So here is my question. When your brand is rainbows and whipped cream bras, how do you evolve without alienating the very people who loved you for being unserious in the first place? By the way, there's two big things coming up, Mother's Day and summer. And guess what? I have the perfect find for both. Meet the all-in-one mom bag. She's not just a bag, she's a lifestyle. Big enough to be your duffel bag, cute enough for the gram, and versatile enough for travel, gym, beach days, baby showers, and hospital runs, you name it. It's stylish, it's roomy, and ready for whatever your day throws at you. So get one for yourself, your mom, your sister. You get the point. It's the perfect gift all year round. And also, summer is a knock-in, so don't sleep on this trendy must-have beach bag. It is a 2025 collection. It's cute, it's clever, and it's built for your that girl summer essentials. So grab yours before they're gone. Links are in the bio. Let's get back to the video. Well, guess what? The live stream didn't help because the album sales were rough. And then she did a pivot and she went on to the American Idol era.
Katy Perry is officially the first judge to join the new American Idol reboot.
So picture this. Katy's coming off of rough album sales, but it's not all bad news. There's some good news too, because she literally fell in love with the elf prince, Orlando Bloom, and she became pregnant. So she was about to become a mom. So it was a new chapter in her life. And enter American Idol, that magical land where forgotten contestants sing for their lives, while Ryan Seacrest continues his contract with the devil to remain 35 forever. And Katy, she probably thought, okay, why not? What better way to hit the reset button than by joining the ranks of celebrity judges whose jobs is to hand out dreams and sound bites while collecting million-dollar checks and wearing outfits that look like they lost a fight with a disco ball. At first, it worked. She was quirky. She was funny. She made faces. She wore wigs. She gave us enough gifts to last a lifetime. But then the vibe shift happened, and we have to unpack that chaos. There were so many incidences, so we'll just highlight a few of them, like the unwanted kiss incident, which was heard around the world, by the way. In 2018, Katy kissed this 19-year-old contestant. His name is Benjamin Blaze, after he mentioned that he had never been kissed.
You kissed a girl and liked it?
No, I've never been in a relationship.
Really?
I can't kiss a girl without being in a relationship.
Come here, bud.
No, wait, hold on.
Come here.
Did it! Oh my
Very good.
gosh.
That was so
well,
good.
that's a first.
Now, you can cue the candle after if you want, but it's no laughing matter because Ben later admitted that he actually didn't want to kiss and that he had hoped to save his first kiss for someone special. You know, that whole consensual vibes thing. And here's the question. If a male judge had done this to a woman or a female contestant, what do you think would have happened? Spoiler, there probably would have been pitchforks and press conferences, and there would have been some cancellations. But for Katy, she breezed right past it. There was no real apology given. I mean, it was basically the double standard. And a few years later, there was the mom shaming meltdown that happened in 2023. Her name is Sarah. She was a 25-year-old mother of three children. And when Katy heard that, she reacted like someone told her that Sarah had given birth in the Idol green room.
At the start of my audition, before I sang, I mentioned that I had 3 children.
Is this your dream? Is it now? If it's not your dream, you might need to leave because there's a lot of dreams behind you.
Right. And Katy Perry book that wasn't super kind.
Okay, Katie? Nope. It's okay.
If Katie lays on the table, I think I'm gonna pass out.
3 kids.
Honey, you've been laying on the table too much.
It was embarrassing to have that on TV, and it was hurtful. I think that women supporting and uplifting other women is so cool. And I think that mom shaming is super lame.
What? That is insane. It wasn't just a joke that didn't land. It crashed, landed in a volcano, and then set Twitter ablaze because people were like, Katie, maybe don't shame a mom on national TV like that. The internet went full feminist gladiator mode, and Sarah left the show, and fans were not feeling Katie's lack of remorse. And this is where you enter Katie's accidental or maybe intentional villain arc. Was Katie always harsh? Not really, but the tone started to shift. What once felt like it was fun, like it was sassy Aunt Katie energy vibes, it turned into, well, why are you roasting this 17-year-old for singing with his eyes closed?
If she's wearing coats so warm.
Just keep your eyes open and look at us or look to your guitar.
Awesome.
The audience started calling her out due to all of these negative antics that kept building up over one, over the other. And let's be real, she was like Simon Cowell-esque. There's a thin line between the playful, shady pop star and then the overly paid glitter boost and more of a bizarre, long-haul meme generator. And get this, she says that she left Idol because she wanted to focus once again on music and feel the pulse to her own beat. Who knew that the beat would eventually be sung on the ill-fated Blue Origin? Well, she's saying it's a wonderful world, but I digress. Katie's Idol era gave us pretty much everything. Drama, meme material, and enough questionable moments to fill an entire BuzzFeed article. And she may not have redeemed her brand, but she sure kept the internet talking. And that's fine. Katie, go ahead. Get ready to spread your wings, get back into the music, because it's finally time for her to have her next big comeback, which, spoiler alert, never happened. So here's her comeback, or her perceived comeback. It's the album 143. And here is where the ironic scale goes to full blast. And it's when we have to talk about the Dr. Luke-sized elephant in the pop star dressing room. Katy Perry, Queen of Fireworks, and Bubblegum Bops decided to reunite with her old producer pal, Dr. Luke, for her comeback album 143. When given the chance to explain herself during a recent sit-down interview on the Call Her Daddy podcast, Katy basically said, look, I'm the mastermind here. These songs are my metamorphosis. And Dr. Luke, he was just one of many little worker bees helping me bloom. Or in other words, one of the writers, one of the producers. Translation, this is what she really means. Stop discussing it. I'm not impressed. There's nothing to see here. Move on. Now, let's pause for a second. Do you think that artists should be held accountable for the company they keep? Or do we accept that pop music is built on a shaky foundation of second chances and selective amnesia? Because here's the thing. Katie's not the first to work with Dr. Luke post Kesha, that scandal, but she might be the only one to do it while singing a girl power anthem. The optics, not great. The timing, worse. And the lyrics, let's just say that Shakespeare won't be losing sleep. Katie's always been the queen of feel-good and neon-drenched empowerment, but Woman's World landed with the grace of a donkey and somehow pulled off the rare feat of trying to seduce the male gaze while also mocking it. It was like trying to wink and roll your eyes at the same time. Girl, are we fighting or are we flirting? Suddenly, this wasn't a comeback. It's a cautionary tale. And I ask you this, can a pop star truly evolve without first owning where they went wrong? Can reinvention happen if it's built on silence and safe PR lines? Katy said that she wants to feel the pulse of her own beat again. Cool. First, maybe stop outsourcing your rhythm to the most problematic beat maker in the business. The door to a true comeback is never locked. And what if, stay with me here, she ditched the old playbook, ignored the brand consultations for a whole 5 minutes, and actually got uncomfortable? Because hot take, discomfort is where the real art lives, not on a rocket. Enter the 143 tour. It was announced in January of 2025. Back then, they said that the tour was going to kick off in April, so that gave a 4-month launch. And mark it down, kids, cue the crickets, because by February, there were whispers that turned into headlines that 70% of tickets were still unsold. 70%. That's not a slump. That is a full-blown pop recession. So what is this pop princess to do with all of her seats that are so empty? Well, you know what you do? You ride the wave of a trending topic and you make space for yourself, literally. Case in point, enter Blue Origin. And you can almost hear the meeting strategy. I can visualize it now. All of her PR advisors in a room speculating, contemplating, theorizing. How do we spin this flop into a cosmic spectacle? And what if, hear me out, Katy Perry goes into space? It was a trending topic at the time, especially with the debacle that happened in space with those astronauts being stranded for almost 9 months. It was a topic of conversation. It was in pop culture. So naturally, just weeks later, Katy hops on board Blue Origin for an 11-minute joyride and turns it into an intergalactic episode of take Star Trek, The Bachelor, and mix it with a little bit of Lost. It was so cringy. And instead of inspiring millions with a moment of female empowerment, the mission became a punchline. Not because there were women in space, but because it felt less like breaking the glass ceiling and more about breaking the internet's last nerve. And the fallout, there were daisies held solemnly to the heavens, and I get it, it was an ode to her daughter, but also the dramatic kiss to the ground like she just survived this asteroid impact, and then whispered declarations of feeling super connected to love. She basically launched herself out of one PR crisis into another. And of course, she regrets it now. Katy doesn't regret going to space, an insider said. She regrets making a spectacle out of it.
I know everybody's saying, and they have a very good point, there are other ways to spend that money, there, especially in this economic crisis. But the question is, was it tacky for her to promote her album? Well, what do you think they sent her up there for? As to your point, she's not an astronaut, she's a singer. She's not there to teach people about STEM, folks. It's Katy Perry. This is all that she does. She's gonna hold a flower and show you what she's doing. And I bet you that her, not only Blue Origin, but also her record label, like, this is the perfect thing for us to do, the perfect marriage.
And that's exactly what it was. An absolute and utter spectacle. It's like saying that you don't regret getting the tattoo that's on your entire face. Naturally, with this being said, the internet imploded. And a lot of celebrities were basically dragging her. Emily Ratajkowski, Olivia Wilde, Amy Schumer, they all dragged her. But the shadiest roast came from Kesha, who probably is still sipping that Wendy's shake with a smile, and said, "Remember when you backed my alleged abuser? Yeah, me too." Now, the pun behind the whole Wendy's debacle is Wendy's. I wonder if a worker was going to get fired by doing this, or if this was actually officially approved by PR. But when it was announced that Katy Perry came back into space, Wendy said, "Can you send her back?" When you're getting trolled by Wendy's and they don't like you, it's time to reconsider your life. I'm just saying. So the fact that Wendy's and Kesha got together and teamed up, that was ultimately the epic karmic diss. Maybe Katy's biggest problem isn't that she flopped or continues to flop, because pop stars flop all the time. It's practically in the job description. But the reason that the internet is pissed with Katy Perry and there's so much backlash, the problem is she won't stop performing authenticity instead of living it. You can have the fireworks, the wigs, and the big budget ballads. But if you've lost the why, if your every move feels like it's strategy more than soul, then what's left? What's left is another pop machine churning out empowerment anthems that feel fake. And it feels like satire. Have we watched the fall of a pop star or just the unraveling of a persona? And more importantly, does Katy even know the difference anymore? I mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. She wants to feel the pulse of her own beat. Well, maybe now it's time that she stop performing for the noise, stop performing for the applause, stop performing for the accolades and the attention. And she started dancing to the quiet truth that is inside of her authentic self. We're not done here. On the same theme of pop stars and relationships, this one is a little bit different. It's a little bit darker. It's a little bit deeper. It's so worthy of this story being told. So watch this. This is about the Carters, and their story is so tragic. The Carters, I'm talking about Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys, Aaron, his brother, the entire family. It's tragic. They pretty much lost everyone in that family in a matter of years. It's a dark story. It's a tragic story. It needs to be told, and you need to hear it. So click here. Let's go over there, and we'll go over that story together.